why is this happening? And I went back and I was thinking the Caitlin Clark phenomenon is one that I got wrong. I never really thought that Caitlin Clark would make the difference that she has in college basketball or in the WNBA. There are, the WNBA opening game for Caitlin Clark set all-time records. There are millions of people that never cared about the WNBA at all that now care because Caitlin Clark is in the WNBA. And this is one that I got wrong. I just never saw this being an issue. So leaving aside whatever you think about the WNBA or the quality of the basketball or anything else, I always try to think on a sort of comparative worldview, meaning what does this remind me of? This is kind of how lawyers think, right? Whatever fact pattern there is, the goal of the common law is you try to analogize as best you can one fact pattern to another to give you an idea of what the expected outcome is. That's really the job of a lawyer, certainly the job of a litigator. And so I was sitting around and looking at the numbers Caitlin Clark has brought to bear at the WNBA. I think it is extraordinary. And so the data reflects that that is true. And then I was thinking, okay, what other sports analogies are out there that are in any way similar to the impact that one individual has had on a larger sporting universe? And I said, okay, let me think about this. And there are two that come to mind. One is Tiger Woods joining the PGA. For those of you who are too old to remember it, or not old enough to remember it, I should say, I believe it was 1997, Tiger Woods won his first ever Masters. Now, 1997 doesn't feel that long ago to me, but it's now been, whatever the math is, 27 years since Tiger Woods won his first Masters. Tiger joined golf, and there have been other minority golfers before, but Tiger was the best, almost out of the chute, minority golfer who had ever played golf. And golf was overwhelmingly a white man's sport. And then Tiger Woods came in, and he brought a whole host of new viewers with him. And the Tiger Tide lifted all boats. Whatever you thought about Tiger Woods, he was the best thing that ever happened to the PGA Tour. The prize money skyrocketed. The endorsement money skyrocketed. Not just for Tiger. If you were on screen with Tiger, the number of people watching golf just exploded in a really strong fashion. And the sport of golf benefited immensely. And what I remember from Tiger Woods joining the golf world is almost to a man, everybody embraced Tiger Woods joining golf. Now, were there a couple of awkward racial-related incidents with older guys? Yeah, like Fuzzy Zeller made a joke, and it was controversial. And there were arguments about tiger-proofing Augusta and lengthening the course and all these things. But by and large, the golf community welcomed Tiger Woods with open arms. And that was smart because Tiger brought a whole host of new viewers, a whole host of new advertisers, new endorsement dollars. Every single golfer in the world who was an elite golfer, regardless of where they were from, they benefited from the rising Tiger Tide. Every boat, a lot of them turned into yachts, everybody got richer because Tiger Woods came to golf. It's one analogy, 1997-ish. How about tennis? That's a men's sport. How about tennis? Venus and Serena Williams come to women's tennis, and the audience in the United States in particular for women's tennis skyrockets. The amount of money paid to women's tennis stars skyrockets. Venus and Serena did not look like the average tennis player. Tennis, especially in the United States, very much of a white women's sport. Venus and Serena look different, but they bring a new tide. Everybody ends up making more money. I don't remember there being very much negativity associated with Venus and Serena. Now, they had personal drama. Their dad brought a lot of drama with him. They made a movie about about their dad. But in general, for both golf and tennis, the rising tide of Tiger Woods, and Venus and Serena Williams lifted all boats. Every women's tennis player ended up making more money. Every men's golfer ended up making more money. Even though an athlete looked different, he and she brought more money to the sport for everyone, and we all benefited. What about Caitlin Clark? What happens when a white girl joins a majority black league? Wouldn't everybody look at what happened with Tiger and what happened with Venus and Serena and do the same thing with her? Because her coming to the league brings more viewers, more ad money. The Caitlin Clark tide is going to, if embraced, rise all boats in the WNBA as well. We're talking about a league that has never made money, a league where first-round draft picks make $75,000 a year. And yet, look at how Caitlin Clark has been welcomed. It hasn't been anything like Tiger Woods in the PGA or Venus and Serena Williams in the WTA in the tennis world. The majority in the league, which is black women, has done everything they can to not welcome Caitlin Clark to the league. Why? Why are these things different? Some of you said, well, it's just because women, they're jealous. They don't want anybody else. But no, didn't happen in tennis. I think what's going on is there has never been any cost for black WNBA players being racist. I'm not saying racism didn't exist when Tiger Woods came into golf and Venus and Serena came into tennis. I think some of the players may have been racist. But they recognized that the cost of being publicly racist was so significant that if they did it, their careers might be over and they would hinder the overall growth of both golf and tennis. As a result, Tiger, Serena, and Venus, to a large extent, were welcomed with open arms by a majority white sport. Now, I would argue to you that's what should happen. This is how diversity works in sports in its best sense. Someone new comes to a already existing business and takes it to heights of success that have never existed before. Tiger Woods brought in a younger, more diverse audience that continues to benefit golf to this day. Venus and Serena did the same with tennis. Why did golf and why did tennis and the players who were white in those leagues overwhelmingly welcome these transformative sports figures streaking across their sport night sky like comets or meteors? And why did they rise with the tide as a result and everybody makes more money? And why has the WNBA been unwilling to do it? I would submit to you it's cultural. We have created a world. Just think about it. You may not agree, but think about this. We have created a world where the cost of white racism is so massive that if you had to choose right now, every single white person watching or listening to this video, would you rather be on video uttering a racial slur, or would you rather get arrested tonight for a DUI? Almost every white person in America would say, I'd rather get arrested for a DUI. It would be less socially condemnatory of your life to commit a felony and drive drunk than to utter a curse word on video. The cost of racism for white people is massive. As a result, I would submit to you There's much less public white racism than has ever existed in the history of the world. What's the cost for being black and racist against Caitlin Clark? Zero. Zero. In fact, being racist against Caitlin Clark might actually benefit a black woman's overall brand because that is encouraged in some ways. Angel Reese shared a video on social media, Instagram, saying she wanted to beat up that white girl. If Caitlin Clark had done it, she would be suspended probably for weeks if she had said, I want to beat up a black girl. Because the cost of white racism, or even the possibility of white racism, is so much more significant than the cost of black racism. Now, what's unfortunate is black racism in the WNBA actually has a cost. I just laid it out. Tennis and golf, everybody made more money by welcoming Tiger, Venus, and Serena. If the WNBA welcomed Caitlin Clark, every player would make way more money because people would care about the WNBA. But because there is no cost associated with black racism, there is no one out there that is saying or even making the analogy between Caitlin Clark, Tiger Woods, and Venus and Serena Williams and asking why are they being treated so differently. This doesn't happen, by the way, in any male sport, at least not publicly that I've seen. I don't remember Luka or Jokic being truly treated unfairly in the NBA. I don't remember the latest number one overall pick in the NFL being treated unfairly. Why is it that black woman racism, I think it's racism, against Caitlin Clark is not condemned in any way and almost barely talked about? In fact, there are a lot of people who are going to agree with everything that I just said that will pretend they never saw it. They won't share it. They won't discuss it. They won't have a conversation about it. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you disagree with my take here. But I want you to just think about it. Tiger, Venus, Serena, Caitlin, all four of these athletes don't look like the majority of the people that play their sport. And in all of their situations, they brought a hugely new audience to a sport. Tiger, Venus, and Serena, minorities in a white sport, overwhelmingly welcomed. Caitlin Clark, white woman in a majority black female sport, zero talk. Now, some of you said, well, it's also sexuality here, right? There's lesbians, lots of them in the WNBA, so it could be that Clark is a double outsider as a straight white woman in a majority black and or lesbian league. And that's an interesting point too. But I don't think it's the straight. I don't think if Caitlin Clark was the exact same player and she was black, I don't think that it would have any sort of negativity associated with it. Now, you can say, well, if Caitlin Clark is black and had the exact same game, nobody would care. And maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. Maybe there's an argument in favor of that. But couldn't you say the same thing about Tiger and Venus and Serena? If they had had the exact same skill set and they had been white, would they have gotten anywhere near the same amount of attention in golf or tennis such that they brought in a huge new audience? Looking different and excelling has always been a market change. And a market, it captures people's attention. Look, if Jeremy Lin had actually been the best point guard in the NBA, it would have transformed the NBA's audience all over Asia. I mean, Yao impacted it very significantly. But if Jeremy Lin had been able to play like Allen Iverson did, the NBA would be infinitely more popular with Asian people than it would be if there were another star black point guard. That's not diminishing their talent. It's just talking about the fact that people notice things differently when you look different than the majority of the people that have already and always been playing the sport. Why is there such a profound difference? I'm open in terms of Caitlin Clark's treatment. I'm open to you arguing with me that there's something I'm missing, but I don't think there is. The WNBA players, I think, hate Caitlin Clark because they're racist against a white girl. And the reason why they can be publicly racist against a white girl is there isn't the same social capital cost as a white golfer or a white tennis player would have had with Tiger, Venus, and Serena. Now, that used to not be the case, right? I'm not a historical moron. You go back in time, Jackie Robinson got treated like crap when he was the black guy coming into Major League Baseball. A lot of white baseball players treated him awfully. And I'm sure it wasn't just Jackie Robinson. I'm sure there were many, many, for decades even, black athletes in Major League Baseball who were treated like crap by the majority white league because the cost of being racist at that point in time was not significant. In a healthier America, something for you to think about, wouldn't the cost of racism be the same no matter what your race is? In a healthy America, wouldn't we decide that black racism against a white basketball player is just as bad as white racism against a black golfer was or a black tennis player? If we evenly applied the standards of racism to all races, white, black, Asian, and Hispanic, wouldn't the nation benefit immensely? And wouldn't our conversation, to the extent we have one at all, on issues of race actually be far healthier? Because right now, all we have done is punish white people immensely whenever they are remotely racist. Even sometimes when they're not racist at all, but use words that make people uncomfortable. And conversely, there is no punishment at all for any other race and what they might do to white people or Asian people or Hispanic people. And if you doubt this, think about what happened. Remember when Stop Asian Hate was popular for like 2 weeks? People said, oh, Asian people are just getting beat up all over cities everywhere. California, San Francisco, LA, New York City, large places with large Asian populations. Suddenly on video, it was going viral. You were hearing, oh, this Asian mom just got punched walking down the street. And then do you remember what happened? It turned out that Asian hate was almost exclusively, it appeared, at least based on the videos, being perpetrated by black people. Black dudes were just knocking out Asian people. And then Stop Asian Hate just vanished. If it had been white guys knocking out Asian people all over the country, Stop Asian Hate would have turned into a big thing. The problem was the people who were doing the Asian hate were also a minority. They didn't have any idea how to handle it. Again, Caitlin Clark to me is a window into an era where we have virtually no punishment for black hate or Hispanic hate or Asian hate. And I got a crazy idea, and I think it would revolutionize the way that we talk about race in America. There are white, black, Asian, and Hispanic racists. And some people are going to say, well, the legacy of the racism is not as pernicious. Okay, I agree. The history of racism in America, most often, is white to black. But if we have now instituted draconian punishments on white to black racism, it's actually very, very rare. But we have got almost no punishment on any, and the result is a positive one. Tiger Woods comes to golf. Everybody makes more money. A lot more people, a variety of different racial backgrounds, are fans of golf now. Venus and Serena come to tennis. And a lot more people of different backgrounds are fans of tennis now. In theory, the WNBA has the same opportunity, but they don't have the same social capital cost. And so the racism against Caitlin Clark from black women has no cost to them. And so in the process, they are almost destroying the rising Caitlin Clark tide of fans, unlike what happened with the PGA and unlike what happened with golf. I just want you guys to think about it. It's an argument, and I think it's an argument that I'm right about.